Here we are, and I welcome all of you to today's meeting, and I welcome Christian in particular. We always look forward to your presentations. Today is a new one on notes, I believe, or maybe you have presented on that subject before, but in any event, I think notes is something that accompany us all day, all night maybe, and I think there are so many new features that we should spend at least 75 minutes on it today. So I'm looking forward to an exciting presentation. I'm also looking forward to great questions, and Sheeta will moderate them very well. So with that, I look forward to this great meeting today, and I'm asking Mike Wozniak, to make a few announcements. Thank you.
Unmute myself. I hope you can hear me now.
Yes.
Thank you. And first off, just a reminder that our class season is underway now, and I am in the hot seat this Saturday talking about pages. And my plan is to kind of try and present a zero to hero approach and start with very straightforward adoption of templates through creating personal templates, and then jump into formatting from simple to more kind of design conscious work. So I really hope something for everybody, and I really hope if you do come along, when you tip out of the far end of the class, your pages documents will look somewhat more exotic and exciting and interesting than they did before we started. That's Saturday, and hope you'll join us then. And yeah, this is the sort of stuff that I'll be talking about. I've forgotten that's 10 a.m. in Florida, isn't it? I have 3 p.m. permanently stuck in my consciousness because of the UK. But next week's meeting, more notes. Anne is with us again, and continuing on the theme of notes, she's going to be talking about an app that I know nothing about called UpNote, which she prefers, and look forward very much to seeing that and seeing how it compares with the stuff that we know and love. And with that, I'd like to just stop my share and pass the meeting to Sheeta so that she can talk about questions and also introduce Christian. Thanks very much, Sheeta.
And thank you.
The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. We will get to them at a timely manner. I do ask that you please mute your microphones. And Diane, for some reason, I cannot mute your microphone. So if you could please mute your microphone on your end, I'd greatly appreciate it. And with that, I am going to hand it over to Christian. And Christian, welcome and thank you. We look forward to this, as always. All yours.
All right, well, great. That was fast. Here we go. So today we're talking about notes in iOS 18, and I'm going to be demonstrating using my iPhone 16 Pro. So there may be a thing or two that looks a little bit different because than your phone, because it being a 16 Pro, I can do Apple Intelligence, and if you have something older than a 15 Pro, you can't. So there may be some icons that look a little different. But that's okay. Most of the stuff we do today is going to work for anybody who can use iOS 18. All right. So I started this talk out here with a title that man, it does a lot, because man, it does do a lot. And I was surprised at how much stuff there was to do. And that little notes icon going across the way was just to show off that I know how to do it. But that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the Notes app. So the way I'm going to do this is the way we always do it. I'm going to demonstrate things, or at least sort of have canned demonstrations in a slide, and then I'll work live. You can watch me have trouble if something goes wrong. But in real life things do go wrong, so it's nice to see. It's nice to see me struggle and how I get out of it, because maybe that'll help you too. So let's start. Let's start by just introducing me, and then we'll introduce the class, and then we'll get into the meat of it. So this is me, and in fact, this is not the same shirt as in that picture, but same style. If you find something that works, you stick with it. So what I do is, I've been a Mac owner from almost the very beginning. That's a year after they came out in 1985. I used to work as a rocket scientist. This is all old news for people who've been here before, so we won't waste a lot of time. Born in California, still live in California, sort of honorary Texan, and that's where I am right now. It's in Texas. And what I do is I write things about Macs and iPhones. I give talks about iPhones and Macs. I consult with people about iPhones and Macs. And the things that I really am focused on are teaching people things, automating things, and making the Mac and the iPhone work for the people that own them. Okay, and this is what I do. So it's all I do. It's my full-time job. And if you want to read some of the articles I've written about how to do things on your Mac and iPhone, you can go to christianboyce.com. All right. Now, let's introduce the class. How are we going to do this? Well, let's talk about how we're not going to do it. Okay, we're not going to go. It's not really A to Z. Okay, so in my experience, which is, we're talking 35 years or so of experience teaching people things, you really can't there's no beginning and ending for a program like this. Things are too complex. So what we're going to do, instead of starting at the beginning and ending at the end, we're going to do it more like this. We're going to start with some core basic notes stuff. And then we'll build on that with some intermediate notes stuff. And we'll build on that with some advanced notes stuff. And with all of that background, we'll move on and do what I call grad school notes stuff. Okay. So we're going to get a good foundation. We're just going to keep expanding our knowledge. And although the basic stuff might be a little bit basic for you, it'll be a nice refresher. And for other people, it'll catch them up. Then we can all take off with sort of a similar background. Okay, so let's talk about the basics. All right, so I'm going to now get my phone in gear here. So here's my phone. So you'll see this whole time we should keep the you'll see the slides on the left and the real iPhone in the middle. Okay, and I know the time there where it says 9:41 in the corner, that is always the way they do it in these presentations. It's automatically done by Zoom, and if anyone wants to know some trivia, I'll tell them. That's the time of day that Steve Jobs introduced the first iPhone. Okay, so 9:41. Okay, so let's get started. How are we going to do this? Let's talk about making a note. Well, when you launch the Notes app, it's going to take you to wherever you were last. And somewhere on that screen, you're going to see a button like this. And that's our new note button. So I'm going to do that now. You can see on my screen here, I put notes in the dock down at the bottom. And when I touch this, oh, what do you know? So someone did some legwork ahead of time. So here's a note. This is a note. Now, you will see this icon at the bottom of the notes screen here. So I can make a new note just like that. And so here I am making a new note. Well, I'll just say done to that. And I'll go back here and we'll pick up our other note again. So you have the new note icon at the bottom there. You also, if you go back, if you look at the top where you see, let's see if I can point to some of these things, where it says all iCloud at the top left, I can touch that and I can come back and see various organization here. This is organized by date. And I go back some more and I've got different folders. But again, everywhere you go, you see at the bottom right, you see the new note button. So if I go back to iCloud here and I look here, I still see it. So everywhere you look, a new note button. Great. So that's easy. So when you make a new note, the first thing that happens when you start typing is it's going to be in big letters. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to make a list of to-dos. To do Wednesday. There. And when you hit return, they change the style. So this is going to be, I'll just say, this and that. Okay. So the style's changing automatically. It's nice. And the first stuff you type becomes the title of the note. So when you look for it in the list of notes, if I go back here, you see that the title is To Do Wednesday. Okay. So no big deal. That's the baby stuff. All right. And so here's an example of doing it. And there's the icons that we're talking about. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, now let's put some text into a note. There's a couple ways you can do this. We need text. And it turns out that text is not at all the only thing that can go into a note, but we're going to start with the very basics, which is text in the note. So when you want to put text in the note, you either type it in or you dictate it in. You could also copy and paste it in. So you've seen me do this already, and so I'm going to tap up here, and I can type some more if I wanted. Hit a return, and I'll just say more stuff. Okay. So nothing special here. And if I choose to dictate, I'll just hit the microphone, rake the leaves, new line, change the air filters, new line. Now you notice up at the top there's a little done button. The done button keeps you from accidentally messing things up as you're moving around. So when you're editing, done is something you can touch so that you sort of lock it. You lock the message down. Okay, let's talk about putting notes into folders. So we have a lot. You're going to generate a lot of notes. Now, some people use notes. Well, they'll just have one note and they'll type everything in it and it'll get super long. That's okay. That's sort of like having a filing cabinet without any folders in it. You just put everything in it. Well, we're gonna put things into folders. So the way you do it is you use this magic button up at the top. This is that more button, which is kind of all the rage nowadays in iOS apps. So when you touch that button up there, you drop a menu, okay, like this, and you can move the note. Maybe they could say file the note, but they say move the note. And so you see right there, that's what we're going to do. And when you do that, I'm going to do it right now. When I do this, not only can you file it into a folder that you already have, but you can also make a new folder. So I'll make a new folder now. I'll call this the NMUG folder, and I'll put this message in there, okay, or this note. So if I go back and I look at my folders, I now have an NMUG folder, and if I touch it, I see one note in it. Okay, let's talk about setting things up right. So there are settings for notes, and things are a little bit different in iOS 18 than they used to be. So I'm going to go to settings and get to the settings here. And what you don't see here is notes right out in the open like it used to be. Now what you have to do is go down to apps, and now you got to go find notes. Now I'm not going to scroll from A to N. I'm just going to type up here notes because I'm on the clock, right? So here's notes. So I'm going to touch this. And when you're in here in the settings for notes, the one thing that's the most important is to set your default account to be the iCloud account. So the notes are going to sync if you want them to. If you put them into your iCloud account, they will then sync with your Mac and your iPad, as long as you're putting the notes into the iCloud account. So you want to make sure that you've done that, not just here, but on your other devices too, so that the notes collection is shared. Now there are other places that you could put notes in. You probably have noticed this when you create. Let's say you've set up a Gmail account or even an AOL account and some other accounts. When you first set them up, they'll say, okay, you want mail, contacts, calendars, and sometimes notes. Well, you can do that if you want to, but they don't really work the same way that Apple's iCloud server does with notes. So stick with the iCloud notes.